Welcome. I'm Steph, an intuitive hypnotist from Quebec, Canada.
I'm Julie, a past life regression hypnotist and Reiki healer from Wisconsin.
And together, we are the Soulful Mystics.
Hello, Mystics. Welcome back to the Soulful Mystics podcast. I'm Julie, and today is a special day. We've been eagerly awaiting this moment, and it's finally here. In today's episode, we are excited to share with you the listener ghost stories that we have received over the last couple of months. I have to say, it was really fun and exciting to see these emails roll in. We are so grateful to each and every one of you who took the time to share your stories with us. Your stories are not just your stories, they're windows into your worlds, your experiences, and the unexplainable mysteries that surround us all. We cherish the opportunity to connect with you in this way. So, if you've got a ghostly encounter that you've been keeping in your heart, don't hesitate to send it our way. We'll be saving them for a special episode down the road. And if you're enjoying our journey together on this podcast, we would be over the moon if you could take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Your support helps us reach more kindred spirits like you. Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme says, absolutely love this podcast. Pretty freaking cool. Thank you so much, and I absolutely love your name. We truly appreciate all of you for joining us on this adventure. If you're new to our podcast, you can find more about the amazingly talented Steph at soulfulstephanie.com. And you can learn more about me at soulseekerhypnosis.com. All right, so sit back, relax, and let the mysteries of the unknown unfold before your ears. We hope you enjoy these spooky and heartwarming stories.
We are starting the October Ghost Stories, which we're both extremely excited about. We've had amazing stories be sent in already, and I'm so excited to dive into it.
I'm so excited too. I've been looking forward to this for so long.
Yeah, it's going to be the highlight of my year for sure. And the first story I asked Julie to read because it makes me cry like a baby. It's super beautiful and also touching in a very special way for those who love their fur babies.
Yes. Our first story today is from Sarah and Dakota. So it says, I want to share a special story that I experienced this past summer. My husband and I's beloved 2-year-old Australian Shepherd Scout passed away very suddenly in a tragic accident on June 5th. He was a son to us, and the heartbreak and shock was absolutely devastating. He passed within minutes in my husband's arms. We couldn't sleep the evening of his death. We couldn't think or eat or do anything really. That evening, I looked out the window at the bright, full moon. I begged over and over with tears running down my cheeks. Please let me know that you are safe. Please, please, please let me know that you are safe, that you are not in pain anymore, and that you are at peace. The following morning, we knew we needed to get out of our home. It was horribly painful to be in our home without our boy. We decided to go to a river town near our home and get some breakfast. Sadly, the last time we were there was with our boy after he ran with us on nearby trails. We had breakfast outside on a patio, and he sat with us under the table. Now we were back there without him. After trying to swallow some food, we felt called to walk toward this old bridge that goes across the river to Wisconsin from Minnesota. People passed by us on bikes, running and walking too. A woman rode past us on her bike. She had a children's bike wagon attached to her bike. The top of the wagon was open, and sitting inside it was a beautiful black tri-Australian Shepherd dog. This dog had the same coloring as our boy, even down to the adorable black freckles on his white muzzle. The dog turned his head and with a huge grin looked at us. I swore it was Scout. The size, the shape, the features were identical. The dog looked so happy, relaxed, so at peace, just along for the ride with his female owner. We watched in absolute awe as the woman continued biking, carrying the dog along across the bridge, over the river, to the other side. I burst into tears. I've never seen something so beautiful in my life. In that moment, I felt my heart swell with an instant download of information. Scout was at peace now. Scout was being shepherded toward his next journey. Scout was happy and being taken care of. We stood crying so hard as we watched the woman and dog turn the corner of the road across the river out of our sight. The amount of peace we felt in that moment almost nearly matched the trauma and heartbreak we experienced the day before when he died. I'm forever thankful for that experience because it has eased our pain. That same night, our family sent texts asking if we had done the daily Wordle, and if not, to do it now. Wordle is a game that my family has played for months, and we even have a group chat to share our daily scores. I went to the New York Times website to do the Wordle and knew immediately my first answer for the word would be Scout. To our amazement, it was correct. Wordle number 717 on June 6th was Scout. The majority of players across the world got the word in 4 guesses, and I was in the top 1% that got the guess on the first try. It warmed our hearts for days to hear from friends and coworkers share that they saw the Wordle was Scout and thought of us immediately. Our family burst into tears seeing his name as well. Many more synchronicities occurred in the weeks following Scout's death, but I will leave my story there. We miss our boy, Scout, dearly. Every day we miss his goofy, joy-filled energy, playful, confident, and steadfastly loyal. His birthday is coming up on September 26th. He would be 3. He's our angel now. I hope everyone can love a dog as special as our Scout.
Ugh.
Wow. Oh.
And we're recording this on September 29th, so happy belated birthday, Scout.
Oh, yes. Happy birthday, Scout, as Steph is wiping her tears.
Literally every
I
time. I tried
I
to read it
have
a few
chills.
times to not cry, and it gets me every time.
Just a beautiful answer to her prayers. I mean, can you imagine praying and praying so hard to get some kind of sign? And not only did she get one sign, but then also repeated signs. That
Yeah,
just warms my heart.
it just goes to show that once we ask for something, it delivers. Spirit or, our loved ones who have crossed over, they deliver. We just need to be open to receiving and seeing those signs and messages. And I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, on to a creepy from Becky. Becky sent us a number of stories, so thank you, Becky. Story 1, she writes, my dad's family has always been very connected to the spirit world and their gifts on his mother's side, my grandma. She passed away in the early 90s, and my grandfather never remarried and always wore his wedding band, no matter how many years had passed. When my grandpa's end was coming in 2020, we all gathered together and took turns making sure he was not alone even for a minute. One night, when we knew the end was very near, there were several of us gathered in his room just watching him rest and talk to each other in a whisper. At one point, I asked, do you think Grandma's here? And the answer started coming rapidly. Yes, I don't know. I haven't felt her yet. And then suddenly the TV from the other room that was on silent began blaring. As I ran into the other room to see who turned on the TV up so loud, I was met by my uncle running from the kitchen. We were stunned when we realized no one was in the room. He raced to the remote and turned it off and looked at me, and we said, well, that was weird. And then we went back to the room and told my aunt what happened. We knew that was Grandma telling us, of course I'm here. As loud as possible. It gave us peace to know she was present and awaiting her love to join her on the other side. Not so much a
So
creepy, but it is a beautiful story.
it is a beautiful story. And also, too, I love the fact that they were asking each other, have you
Hmm.
felt grandma? Or, are you getting signs from her or whatever? Like, I love that they're so open to the idea that she could potentially be there. And she was
Yeah.
just
It's like
amazing.
they knew that she would be. They were just like waiting for that moment.
Yeah,
And yeah, a TV blaring. I mean, that sign in itself is creepy. It would scare
yes,
me, but I guess in the moment when they were all waiting for her anyway, it wasn't as scary because they knew exactly who it was and what her message was. So,
for sure. The validation.
yeah.
Just amazing. You can't make that up. It's like you're asking about her and then boom, there it is, loud and clear.
Yep.
So awesome.
And I think Becky's stories get progressively more scary.
Yeah, she sent us some good ones. All right. So, story 2. When we purchased our house and moved in, we started to notice odd things happening. Feeling like someone is watching but looking up to find no one, random coins being found on the floor that no one claimed they dropped, and items going missing to be found where we thought we left them a day ago. General trickster things that could be written off as coincidence. One morning, my husband called me to the basement and began to ask me why I was, quote unquote, trying to scare him. And did you do this? When I got downstairs to view what he meant, I saw 3 mirrors that had been mounted on the wall, taken down, and lined up perfectly next to each other on the floor.
Nope. Don't like that.
Yeah, don't like that either. He insisted I must have done this because he didn't, and it was clear they did not randomly fall off the wall because they were placed carefully, face up, and exactly aligned on the floor. There was no one else in the house. We later decided to have a medium come and clear and bless our house. We told her nothing about what we had experienced. When she was walking the house, she identified an older man and told us that he told her that he would often move things or leave coins on the floor just to let us know he was around. She then worked to help him leave our space, but indicated he was hesitant. Ever since then, things have been calmer, but every once in a while, I get the eerie feeling that I'm being watched, or something goes missing for a day, or I find a random coin just laying around where I know that no one had just placed it. I know that's his way of saying, I'm still around.
Yeah, eerie. The
Yeah.
mirrors for me, no. Like if they could take something heavy like that off the wall and place that, first of all, why is he placing it neatly? Like what?
Well, would it be creepier if they found the 3 mirrors broken on the floor because it's glass? you know?
I wouldn't be as creeped out because could just like say, "Oh, a train passed by," if you live near a train and it knocked them. I don't know. But the fact that he placed them, like what was even the point? And why a mirror? She has to like pick it up and look at it as she's hanging it back up the wall, and then I would just be terrified that something's gonna pop up in the mirror behind me.
Oh my goodness. Or
Yeah.
did she hang it back up?
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to ask her.
Or is she like, I'm done with mirrors?
Yeah, the mirrors have to go, which might be what I do.
Yeah.
Okay, story 3, and this is her dad's story. So she writes, my dad entered the army in the late 60s. He went to basic training and met a guy that identified as a warlock. My dad found that interesting, but having strong intuition, he felt that he needed to avoid being too connected or friendly with this warlock. He did his best to avoid the warlock, but every place my dad went, this guy would show up. Not having any connection other than being on the same base. My dad thought it was odd and it creeped him out that he felt this warlock was physically tracking his movements. Kept doing his best to avoid conversations and kept any interactions with the warlock very brief. The warlock was not happy that my dad would not be his friend or engage in deeper conversations. Sensing my dad was extremely connected and intuitive, a few months later, the warlock left the base and he thought he would never see him again until one day My dad found himself in an airport in a completely different state, awaiting transfer to a station, when all of a sudden, here comes the warlock. After a brief but intense exchange, the warlock told my dad to look for him again when he least expects it, which my dad received as a veiled threat. 60 years later, my dad still keeps an eye out for that guy.
All right, seriously. I Googled warlock because that's not a very common thing that someone introduces or calls themselves a warlock. And so, according to Google, a warlock is a man practicing the black art. Sorcerer, compare witch, conjurer. So, those are the terms used to describe it. A man practicing the black arts or the dark arts. I mean, that right there is threatening for sure.
Yeah, I Googled it as well, and it's the black arts thing that, why wouldn't he just say, I don't know, that his pastime is black magic. I don't know why identifying as a warlock is just something very, I don't know if that might have been more common in that time, but no, I think he made the right call in trying to avoid this person.
Yeah, I would say so. It just kind of seems like the guy was up to no good right off the bat. And maybe it was because he felt threatened by her dad's gifts.
Yeah, because it was the opposite, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Creepy, very creepy.
Creepy. All right, our next story is from Marcus, and it is titled Mr. Gray. Shadow people, ghost, phantom, different people have different names. We call ours Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray has lived with us for, well, to be honest, I can't remember a time he wasn't around. I've had different entities present throughout my life. When we were younger, we had the figure of an old lady that would stare out a bedroom window overlooking the garden right outside from my mother's room. My mother would see an old man dressed in all white in the hallway of the house I grew up in. We grew up in the Catholic Church, but seeing these apparitions didn't seem to scare us or cause any real concern. They were just different things we'd see or feel their presence. Getting to Mr. Gray, I first noticed him at our old apartment. We lived in a corner apartment on the second floor. I'd be watching TV, and from the corner of my eye, along my peripheral, I would see a shadow move across the room. At first, I chalked it up to my eyes playing tricks on me, or it maybe was the beer. However, I began to see it at all times of the day. The earlier the time of day, the lighter he was. So that's how he received his name. Seeing him gave me a fright, so I was apprehensive about bringing him up to my wife. Didn't know how well this revelation would be received. I let her know, right?
Yeah.
I let her know what I'd have been experiencing. She wasn't believing in what I was telling her until she began to see him. She thought it was me, but I'd be in a totally different room. She'd see red eyes peering through our daughter's room from the kitchen. She'd hear a creaking as it moved across the floor. She would see feet walking past a closed door while she was in the restroom. She would see things in one place that would be moved around the next day. She would hear whispers or feel a light touch. She once jumped up thinking I was pulling her hair, but I was in another room. It seemed its actions were more pronounced with her. Eventually, she got accustomed to his presence. He hasn't shown to be either benevolent or malevolent. He's just there. He's been known to move remotes and other small items, sort of in a trickster sort of way. My wife is the one who notices that. We believe he primarily stays in our bedroom closet. I should add, he moved from the old apartment complex to the new one. Lately, he's been moving our Halloween decorations, especially with the dolls on the top shelf of the closet. I sometimes see him at the opening of the closet at night. It'll be around 2 or 3 in the morning, and I can see it hovering by the side of our bed, as if he's observing us. At this point, we feel he's here to protect more than anything else. So for us, Mr. Gray is just part of our lives. Personally, I like having him around. My wife has seen a shadow passing under the bathroom door while she's in there, almost as if he's more active.
First of all, why is he hanging out in the closet? I don't know about anyone else, but I cannot have even a crack in my closet door. because I feel like someone's going to be peering out at me, and that is a huge no.
Yeah, well, what's interesting to me is the different perspectives. So I know Marcus and his wife, and I think that both of them are very gifted. I trust in the feeling that they get. If they feel that he's a protector rather than someone trying to, or something trying to scare them, I don't know. I think I trust that. What do you think?
Moving dolls at the top shelf of a closet is a no. Being
So, okay,
hanging out in a closet in
the
general.
doll thing is funny because my friend, she is they love Halloween. So they have like the Chucky dolls, the Annabelle doll, like the
Okay, so
creepy
this is
dolls.
like this is the vibe. They like this stuff. So
Yeah,
that might be okay. I could see it a little bit better if this entity is seeing it as, maybe he has a sense of humor and he's
for
playing
sure.
along with them kind of thing. But
Right.
all of that would be a no for me.
I think the only thing that bothers me about the story is the red eyes, because that is scary to me. If you're seeing red eyes in your daughter's room, that doesn't belong there.
Yeah, like just choose a different color, man.
I don't know. Red is just creepy, right?
Yeah, moving dolls too. I just don't.
Yeah.
I am just happy that he's not with me and
Yeah.
a,
Well,
and a
and
part of my life.
yeah, and also too, it seems like this is something, well, Marcus especially, this is something that he's been accustomed to his whole life. So it seems to me that his family has been open because even as this was happening, I mean, even with other entities at a younger age, it wasn't a frightening thing. So I think he might have a gift there
Yeah, and a good sense of humor.
and a good sense of humor. And I have to say, Marcus and Serene are so freaking funny. These
I
two
can
crack
tell.
me up. They are hilarious. And so, thank you for sending in the story, and thank you to everyone else for sending in your stories as well.
Yeah, and the stories, if they keep coming, we're just going to keep doing this every October because it's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And this is our first time doing it. So,
Yeah.
it's super fun to see these stories roll in.
And that's it for today's episode. Until next time, stay curious.